Hi, I'm Vivek Singh from the Cinnamon Club, and I'm going to be doing a very rustic, jungle-style Guineafowl curry today. We're going to cut into a very simple sauté cut. You'd get 8 pieces from a whole bird. And the very simple way of doing it is just breaking it up and then cutting it from here. So you've got your 2 then, and that 2 will become 4. Then you've kind of twisted the thighs off slightly. Run your knife next to the bone here to get as much of the meat from the oyster out. It's the same again on the other side, and that's your other 2. Then you run your knife through the shoulder blade, turn it around, press and pull. You just want to make sure everybody gets a fair, generous portion. Now with the guinea fowl sorted, we're going to then start off with the onions and the tomatoes and the rest of the stuff. Now I call it a jungle curry, and this is what the nomadic tribes, when they would go out hunting, they'd carry some basic spices whole, and they'd get hold of what they can get hold of and then cook it off all in one pot quite simply. To make this at home, you don't really need to be an expert Indian cook or anything. What you do need is, you do need a well-stocked pantry. You do need to keep a fair bit of the spices on. But the great thing about these spices are they keep for up to 6 months or even up to a year if they're stored properly. Fresh vegetables, we've got some onions, some garlic, some tomatoes, some ginger, some green chilies and some fresh coriander. We're going to just roughly chop the onions. They don't have to be too fine. But it's good if you can get them even size. We'll also chop some tomatoes. We're going to be cooking these with corn oil. When you add your spices whole, peppercorns, some cloves, some black cardamom, some dried fenugreek seeds, bay leaf in there. Basically allow them to release their flavors into the oil. Garlic, and you let the garlic just start to turn color. At this point, it's a little bit important to have your next ingredient and stuff ready, because you don't want to be waiting to chop onions when your garlic is getting colored or almost burnt. The onions go in next. It's important to cook the onions off really well, because that's what's going to flavor the rest of the dish and also set the tone for the rest of the ingredients to follow. If your onions are not cooked, they've got far too much water and you've got the raw smell in there, you'll never really get a proper, the intensity of flavor in the rest of your curry. We're going to give it almost 10 minutes and start turning color at that point, and then we'll add the rest of the ingredients. We'll keep stirring just to make sure that it's cooking off evenly. We can add either the chicken or the guinea fowl, whatever you'd be using. Salt, ground coriander, ground cumin, ground chilies, also a little bit of chili flake. The ginger and garlic paste. And the reason we add the ginger garlic paste at this stage and not earlier is because it will get stuck to the bottom of the pan and it'll start burning. So mix it up so that all the flavors are equally distributed and all the ingredients are getting a fair share of heat. You see some of the fat getting separated from the spices and the masala. This is always a good sign that your spices are cooked. So we're going to cook the tomatoes off now. One of the common mistakes that people make about when making a home-style curry is that they add the onions and the tomatoes and everything together, and it never quite gives it the flavor that we're trying to get here. The intensity, the caramelization, the depth that you get from cooked onions, and then the tomatoes added later. Some fresh ginger, and I'm going to add the yogurt that I mentioned earlier. So I'll add a couple of ladles of water or stock, so just enough to cover the whole thing up. We'll let this simmer for about 10 or 15 minutes. We'll come back to that too. I'm going to finish it off with some dried fenugreek leaves, some of the fresh fenugreek leaves, and some coriander, chopped coriander, and a squeeze of lemon just to give it a bit of zest. And so that's my jungle-style guinea fowl curry. Fantastic.